your talk yesterday was very interesting, and you touched on a few things. I had a few questions about it, and a number of other things you were working on. But you mentioned Yu Chang, and he's someone I know mainly from his commentary on the Shanghanlun, and that's about it. And you seem to think that he is your belief that he's one of the most important figures in Chinese medicine.
This is my own belief, but he was really important because he's a kind of like a gateway for many different ideas. So it's because of him really that the Wu Yoke book on the Wu Yoke book on the what's it called again, Wen Ilun,
yes,
became popularized because from what I understand, yes, the book Wu Yoke, he printed it, but then it got lost. And Yu Chang, because of he traveled extensively, both before the fall of the Ming and then particularly afterwards. He became when he became a monk, and as a monk he traveled around, and I think he collected stuff. So he's very important for this kind of transmission of Wu Yoke's work in the Wenbing Pai, but at the same time also Fang Youzhi. The Shanghanlun Tiaobian, which is really the first kind of text that in the Kaotung, kind of like more philological, critical approach to rereading the Shanghan, and becomes the first book of that critique of the Song Dynasty approach to the Shanghan. That book is the same, Fang Youzhi, nobody really knows who he was. He was probably some kind of scholar in Anhui. And throughout his book, he continuously talks about the fact that his 4 children plus his 2 parents died from some kind of obviously infectious disorders. Yes, okay, and the Shanghan people couldn't help him.
Oh, okay.
So this, but still he believes that the Shanghan is the text that should be able to help. So that means you have to reread it, yes?
Yeah.
So so you understand it properly, yes? Okay. So this becomes the kind of like the ignition of this whole critical rereading of the Shanghan. And that book again, it basically gets transmitted through Yu Chang. So later on, somebody else rediscovers Yu Chang's book, and then he, Fang Youzhi's book, and then he accuses Yu Chang of plagiarism, yes, because Yu Chang, for whatever, he transmits his own ideas, but also really these really important ideas of other authors that maybe otherwise would never have become so popular.
Right.
Also because Yu Chang is a really, he has got loads of important connections. He's a good communicator, apparently. Yeah. So who knows whether if he wouldn't have transmitted those ideas, they would have become so popular.
Right.
And he also, so this is before him, but if you look after him, so on the one hand you have the Shanghan line, yes. So the next critical person is Ke Qin and Yu Chang lived in the same place. In what's the place? Where they live in the same place. So it's very clear that he's influenced, even though Ke Qin is critical of some of the stuff that Fang Youzhi and Yu Chang do, but obviously totally influenced by him. And then, again, that's my opinion, yeah. So I spend a lot of time reading Ye Tianshi, and it seems to me very clear that Ye Tianshi is fundamentally influenced by Yu Chang as well, by his rethinking of the body and his rethinking of many different things, yes. So of course Ye Tianshi gets kind of like, so I don't know whether I also know that like Shi Shengbai, I haven't studied so much, but Shi Shengbai obviously was also influenced by him. It's a quite closely knit community of scholars and physicians, and in a very close vicinity, yeah.
Right.
So they all influence. So therefore, I think then Yu Chang's main influence on the modern reception of Shanghan is the key influence on the development of Wenbing. And then if you think of the people who kind of thought to transcend the the division between those.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Hmong people that I looked into, they get, at least in the 1920s, they get celebrated as the only people who were able to bridge that division. Yes, okay. And if you look at their history, they are very, very clearly influenced by Yu Chang. Yeah.
Okay.
In Fei Bo Xiong's book, Yi Chun Sheng Yi, it's the whole structure of the book is a copy of Yu Chang's what's it called, the Imen Falu. Complete looks the same, yes, and he continuously engages with Yu Chang, not always. And my interpretation again that, but my feeling is that what Fei Bo Xiong did, he Confucianized Yu Chang's very Buddhist way of thinking medicine. Yes, so it ends up very, very similar, but through Confucian lens rather than Yu Chang's the underlying way of how you should think about developing medicine. Yes, so therefore I think it's important for the Shanghan, it's important for the Wenbing, it's important for the transcendence of it. So it's important for everybody. He very shortly after publication in China, his works get translated into Japanese, not translated, shipped to Japan. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I think they also become a very important influence on the development of Kohoha. So they become influence on Japan. And given that the Kohoha thinking in Japan becomes a really important influence on development of TCM, in my opinion, or on medicine Republic in China. So there's Yu Chang is involved in all of that. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yeah.
Not as the person that everybody copied, but without him, who knows?
As a conduit kind of thing.
Who knows what would have happened? Does it make sense? Yeah. So in that sense, I think he's so fascinating and so important. Yeah.
And kind of inspiring a dialogue to happen. As I understand, all these people, you mentioned Fang Yuozhi, Ke Qin, they all have very different ideas of this Liu Jing.
But but those people like Fang Yuozhi, Ke Qin, and then those people, Ke Qin's book is called a Renaissance of the Shanghan Renaissance. Yes, so they're very critical of the received notion of the Song, for the reasons I just explained.
Yeah.
Yes, they think their idea is that the Shanghan is this really important classic. Yeah, okay, but it has been misunderstood and misrepresented. Yeah, both already, in the Sui but then more specifically in the Song. So they want to reread it, and they do reread it, yes. And one aspect of that rereading is to reinterpret the term Jing differently. So whereas before, the Sung people, one way of how you could think this is the Sung people, they merge the Shanghan with acupuncture, yes. So they read the Jing as channels, yes. And these late Ming people, early Qing people, they read the Jing as bodily spaces. So that becomes a very different reading, yes? Okay. So, but that is just one way of how they differ, yes? Okay, so they're very critical. So that's the aspect. And then, of course, through the Wenbing. Yeah. But I don't, so Yu Chang, Yu Chang is certainly in his own practice, those boundaries don't exist. But I don't think they existed for the early Wenbing people either. I don't think that for Ye Tianshi or Xu Shengbai, 100%, they didn't see themselves as doing something different. Yes, they saw themselves as just and again, Yu Chang did the same. Yu Chang, he starts to, even so he's a total fan of Zhang Zhongjing. Yes, but he also says Zhang Zhongjing, is limited. Certain things he couldn't do, and I'm a human being just like him. So I also have a license. If I find something that he didn't talk about or explicate, yes, then I have a license to go beyond that. And in that way, he's different than, say, Fang Yuozhi or Ke Qin. For Fang Yuozhi and Ke Qin, they read it very much like Zhang Zhongjing is a Confucius of Chinese medicine, so you can't go beyond him. Yeah. But you can read him correctly or you can read him incorrectly. So Fang Yuzhe is very much to me. He sees himself like maybe like the Mencius or the Chu Xi of Chinese medicine. Yes, he reads this classic in the correct way.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Before they also accept it as a classic. But for Yu Chang, it's an important classic, but it's also a classic that can be transcended. So I think that gives also people like Ye Tianshi the license to transcend, to honor it, but also to transcend it when necessary. Yeah.
Right.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.